Hi guys, this video is going to be a bit tough. We're going to talk about sexism, racism, and a bunch of stuff like that in order to be able to determine whether or not you have better odds working at the United Nations. Yeah, I understand that, sometimes that might be uncomfortable, but today with Gutierrez announcing that he wants to have more women, have different nationalities, less of certain overrepresented nationalities. These days, you have way more chance to get a job at the UN if you're a woman from a developing nation with a bunch of kids than a single white guy from Montreal, for example. All right, so let's talk about that. First of all, citizenship. Are you over or underrepresented? Now, there's a bunch of things here to consider, okay? India, a lot of men, right? Obviously, 1.3 billion population, let's figure it out. Most of them are highly educated. So the United Nations has tons and tons and tons of Indian men in the organization. They're not taking many more, okay? Canada, US, extreme contributors to the United Nations, billions of dollars. Canada, I think, is the top contributors to a bunch of organizations. So of course they're going to call and say, hey guys, take more Canadians. But even then, okay, at this point, there are too many. They're not going to take much more. That's a problem. Gutierrez announced that he wants to have more women, and it's perfectly right. Now, unfortunately, the big issue here, or the big advantage if you're a woman, there's not that many women in high-level positions, so there are more opening. Now, it is also true that there's less women actually going into those fields, for example, finance and stuff like that, management, than men. So you will have less women applying, so therefore you're going to compete against less women, which is great. You have a better chance because of this. Former job in the public sector. So you're already working for a company like Microsoft or something like that. You know nothing about the public sector. You don't know probably anything about international accounting like IPSAS. Now, this is a problem because they want to have people that already have an understanding of the public sector. The UN is public servant, right? So they deal with the government, they deal with donors and stuff like that. It's not a business. It's not there to make money. So therefore, they will go for people that previously had jobs in the public sector before going with somebody that works in the private sector. People speaking more than one official language of the United Nations and also speaking the language of the place you're going to go work, it really is helpful. Now, you're not going to see, because Spanish, for example, is not it's an official language, but it's not a working language. Working language is French and English, but Spanish is an official language, so is Russian, Chinese, Arabic. These are official language of the UN. Spanish is, like I said, not a working language, but of course it stands to reason that your hiring managers and the people, if you have to deal with HR and work with the public in, let's say you have a job in Panama, obviously they would rather have a guy that speaks Spanish in Panama than have somebody that doesn't speak a word of Spanish. This is logical. So they won't say that you need to have Spanish, but when they're going to recruit you, they more than likely recruit somebody that speaks Spanish. So that's why I'm not saying that the Latin America is banned to people that don't speak Spanish, but it's more difficult to get in there if you don't. So this is an important point here. You're going to compete against people that speak languages appropriate for the job. If you don't speak it, you might be in trouble. High education. Now, I get that, doesn't mean you're more qualified because you have a higher degree, but the UN, like most organization, will go with degrees, okay? If you have a bachelor's degree, somebody qualified has a master's degree, they might just take the person with a master's degree over you. It sucks, but that's what it is, okay? Not necessarily PhD, because then you become overqualified unless the job wants it. But the reality, yeah, you have more chance if you have a master's degree. Now, the other one is recognized university. Now, I'm not saying here that somebody from Harvard will have a better chance than somebody from Oxford or whatever, or McGill University in Montreal. I'm talking about the fact that if you go and you graduate from McGill University in Montreal, it is a recognized university with a lot of, like Nobel Prize people, then your diploma is verifiable and, you cannot buy this online. If you graduated from some university that nobody heard of in China or Vietnam or India, or some courses online or something like that that's hard to verify, or that they're already known, fake going around and they can't really confirm it, then that might be a problem. So they might be more comfortable taking people with you recognize degrees from recognized universities or organization. If you're an accountant, for example, and you have an accounting degree from the US, if you're a CA, well, then they know what it is from the US, and they know that they're vetted, or they know that it's real. Then they'll take it over somebody that has one from a country that they don't really know the certification to be real. Current UN employee with experience. Obviously, somebody that already has experience in the UN, and this is why I mentioned to you before, short-term internship matters. If you already have a few months in the UN, you already know quite a lot about the process, you already live in other countries and stuff like that, they're more likely to take you than take somebody that has no UN experience. Also here we can add basically that you would compete against internal candidate, right? So if the guy is the assistant director, well, more than likely he's going to have better chance to become the director of that organization than somebody from outside who doesn't know the organization to go and be the director. It's not unheard of. It definitely happens, but more than likely they will promote people internally. It facilitates, job like happiness or whatever, people that know each other, people that know the job already, right? And if the guy retires, maybe the director that's there right now has been acting on the post. He doesn't have the post. He's been acting on it for a year. So he knows the post. So when he's going to apply for it, they'll just give it to him. So this is where internal candidates also are better. CV related to your application, and this we discussed already when we talked about applying for the post. Make sure your CV is literally like tailor-made for the job you're applying for, and you're gonna have to modify it. Don't lie, but make sure that you don't omit anything, that you have the amount of experience and everything else. If your CV of somebody else, is better written, it's nicer, and matches better the job description, they'll get the post over you. Reference. This is also major, okay? If you have good references, people that know you, make sure that I'm going to talk at length on how to select your references, but try to take the highest in the company, not necessarily other employees. Your hiring manager, your boss basically is more important. People in the company, not the CEO who's never met you. Nobody cares about that. I'm talking about people that know you, work with you, know what you're worth, and will write something nice. And if they don't write it, you write it. So that's who you're competing against. So that's it. This is the people you're competing against at the UN or other organization. In the next video, I'm going to talk to you about the official language of the United Nations and why that's important to know when you apply. All right. So give me the thumbs up, subscribe to the channel. If you didn't watch the other videos before that, they're all in the description below, or they are in the playlist. Guys, it's important if you want to get a job at the UN, watch those, and good luck.